I'm a chicken fried. And cold beer on a Friday night. A pair of jeans that fit just right. And the radio.
What is up, guys? It's Cam Gwynn talking to you again. Today on Gwynology, first I gotta say Chicken Fry, Zach Brown Band, summertime hit. I love it. Anyway, back to the show and the task at hand. Today, we're going to be talking mostly about baseball. I got the team standings and some of the top hitters and pitchers and possibly what we can look forward to later on into the season. All right, so we are creeping up to the All-Star break, the halfway point of the season, just past Father's Day. And right now, in the AL Central, we got Cleveland on top of Detroit by 2.5 games. They have a 37-33 record. And following up everyone else is Minnesota, Chicago, and Kansas City. Minnesota's only 5 games back of Cleveland. Chicago, the White Sox obviously, are 13 games back. And Kansas City is 15.5 games back. So, as we move along the American League, we got on the east side, we got the Bronx Bombers tied with the Boston Red Sox for first. The Boston Red Sox have a 49-24 record, while the Yankees only have a 46-21 record, but that's even. They're both still doing really good. And then rounding out the AL East is Tampa Bay. They're 15 games behind the two front runners, along with Toronto, who have the same record at 33-38. And then Baltimore is 27.5 games back. They are 20-50. That doesn't look good at all. And just out of curiosity, what happened to Chris Davis? You remember when that dude was like hitting bombs and just balling out? Well, it's not really happening this season. Actually, there is a bar in Baltimore that is giving out free shots every time Chris Davis gets a hit because he's not hitting at all. So I wonder what happened to him. Who knows? But then as we move over to the AL West, we got your defending champion, the Houston Astros, at 48-25. They're a game and a half above Seattle, and flat out Verlander's dealing. I'll get into that, but like their starting rotation is crazy good, and they're hitting really, really well also. And Seattle, much of the same, honestly. But then rounding out the AL West is the Angels, who are 9.5 games back of Houston, Oakland, who is 11.5 games back, and the Texas Rangers, who are 19 games back. And now I'm gonna switch back to the Angels for a second. Mike Trout is going insane, and obviously I'm going to talk about him when we talk about the hitters and everything because he's performing like how we would expect, but it's Mike Trout, and he's awesome. And then they also picked up Shohei Ohtani, who is the pitching and hitting threat that they could have asked for. Unfortunately, he is hurt, not expected to play at all for the rest of the season, which is a shame. He was a lot of fun to watch while he was playing. None of you guys got to see it. He was hitting home runs and striking people out like it was nobody's business in the American League, and pitchers don't hit in the American League. So that's very interesting. So let's get out of the American League. Let's get to the National League where the pitchers do bat. Atlanta is coming out of nowhere. They're 42-29. They're 3.5 games up on the Nationals. And, I mean, Bryce Harper's doing good. And so is Max Scherzer. He's pitching. He's dealing. So is Strasburg and Gio Gonzalez. They're both dealing. But Atlanta is just, I don't even know. They're red hot. They have been from the get-go. And they're not slowing down, it seems like. And then rounding out that is Philly with 4 games back. The Mets are 10.5 games back. And then Miami is 14.5 games back. And then in the NL Central, we got the Cubs sitting a half game behind Milwaukee, actually, sorry. A half game behind Milwaukee. Milwaukee is 42-29, while the Cubs are 40-28. And then rounding out the rest of the pack is St. Louis, sitting at 4 games back after that win over the Cubs last night. Pittsburgh is 7 games back, and Cincinnati is 16 games back. This is a pretty decent race, and I think St. Louis is probably going to pick it up and start showing what they usually show, I guess, is the way to put it. They're usually a really good team that is up at the top, and I think Milwaukee will cool off a little bit, and St. Louis will just pick it up. And then in the NL West, we got Arizona on top, and they currently are 39 and 32, and a game and a half above the LA Dodgers, who are 37 and 33. And then rounding out the rest of the pack is San Francisco at 4.5 games back, Colorado at 5 games back, and San Diego at 6.5 games back. This is a close race right here, and if it stays that way, this is the division that everyone's going to be wanting to watch and just drooling about it. Right now, all the teams are within contention of each other. 6.5 games isn't really that much, especially when we're not even to the All-Star break yet. I mean, this could almost completely flip-flop by the time the All-Star break comes. So we're going to keep an eye on that. So then let's get into the batting side of things. We got, for average in the AL, Gene Segura from Seattle is tied with Mookie Betts at .340 batting average, and that's kind of crazy. And then Jose Altuve is right behind him, closely behind him, with a .337 batting average. Mike Trout not far behind with a .328, and then Eddie Rosario has a .321 from Minnesota. I mean, Mookie Betts is just, his bat is incredible. Mike Trout obviously is playing like Mike Trout should, but Mookie Betts and, I mean, Gene Segura, they're both doing really, really great things. So then, let's get into the home run aspect of it in the AL. Mike Trout is leading with 23 home runs, and a former Tiger turned to former Tiger turned into Arizona Diamondback, turned into Boston Red Sox this season. J.D. Martinez has 22 home runs. Right behind him is Jose Ramirez from Cleveland. Chris Davis, no, not that Chris Davis. The one from Oakland is right behind Jose with 20 home runs. And then Manny Machado, Joey Gallo, Mookie Betts, and Aaron Judge are all tied for 5th place with 18 home runs. Where's Giancarlo Stanton? Oh, he has 16. He started off really slow, but he's coming back. So after that, we got top RBI hitters in the AL. J.D. Martinez is leading them off with 55. Manny Machado has 53, tied with Mitch Haniger from Seattle. I mean, Chris Davis, again, not the Baltimore Chris Davis, but the other one, has 49 RBIs. Carlos Correa, Jose Ramirez, Evan Gattis, and Andrew Benintendi all have 47 RBIs, so they're all playing pretty good too. And one thing I do want to point out about some of these hitters from the Angels, one specific hitter from the Angels is Mike Trout. He's leading in all hitting categories, and he's a freak. I've said it too many times already. But another thing is for Boston's lineup, they're pretty solid right now. They got 7 players that are all batting over 250, and the reason why I picked 250 is because I feel like if you're batting over 250, you're doing pretty good. And then JD and Mookie Betts are over 1,000 for their OPS, which is it's pretty good. They have a score differential right now, Boston does, of plus 108, which means they're outscoring their opponents just substantially. After that, I want to look at Houston too from the batting perspective. Carrera, Gattis, and Springer all have plus 40 RBIs. Springer has 41, and then right behind them is Bregman. He has 38, but I mean, it's right there. He pretty much has 40. And then they have 9 players that are batting over the 250 average that I set. And then Altuve could potentially be the first player to hit 100, get 100 hits this season. He's sitting at 99 right now, so let's just assume next game he has a hit. And the only team that is beating Boston with the score differential, like I talked about earlier, is Houston with a plus 157. And that's pretty substantial right there. So although these offenses are pretty good in Houston and Boston, they also have great defenses. And especially Houston, not just defense, but their starting pitching in Houston is stellar. I mean, they got JV, who's dealing this season, absolutely dealing. He has a 1.61 ERA. And then you got Garrett Cole, who is sitting fourth amongst the leaderboards with a 2.4 ERA. So, you know what, let's just get into the top 5 ERA for the AL. Justin Verlander, like I said, is number 1. And then Luis Severino from New York has a 2.09, the Yankees. And then Corey Kluber is in 3rd from Cleveland. He's got a 2.24 ERA. And then in 5th is Blake Snell from Tampa Bay. He's got a 2.58 ERA. And all these pitchers are absolutely just crushing it this season, especially Justin Verlander. He, in my opinion right now, is on pace to getting the AL Cy Young. Wouldn't surprise me if he did. And it's not that those two pitchers, Justin Verlander and Garrett Cole, are like the only two pitchers that Houston has either. Charlie Morton and Lance McCullers both are doing great. Lance McCullers has a 3.77 ERA, but make no mistake, he's still winning games. And then Charlie Morton is also in the top 10 for ERA. He's got a 2.94. So Houston's starting pitching, pretty good, I'd have to say. And one cool thing about the Yankees for their starting pitching is CC Sabathia is actually kind of stepping it up. He's pitched in 13 games, and he's got a 3.30 ERA. It's kind of nice to see him coming back a little bit. And then, of course, like I mentioned in Severino, he's got he's leading the Yankees, with wins, ERA, and strikeouts. You know what? Let's actually step to strikeouts for a second, too. The AL strikeout leaders right now are Garrett Cole from Houston. He's got 130. Chris Sale from Boston. He's got 129. Bauer from Cleveland. He's got 121. Verlander has 120. And Severino has 118. So a lot of strikeouts being thrown. Let's switch over now to the NL for batting. We got Matt Kemp is leading the NL for batting average. He's got a .338. Freddie Freeman has a .337. Scooter Gannett has a .336. Nick Markakis has a .327. And Albert Almora Jr. has a .325. And then for the home run leaders in the NL, we got Bryce Harper sitting at 19. Ozzie Albies sitting at 16. Freddie Freeman right behind him. Teammates, with 15. And then tied for 15 with Freddie Freeman is Trevor Story from Colorado and Christian Villanova from San Diego. And then your NL RBI leaders are Trevor Story. He's got 54. And then Eugenio Suarez from Cincinnati has 52 RBI. Freddie Freeman has 49. Scooter Gannett, again, 48. And then Anthony Rizzo and Javier Baez are both tied 46 RBI for their Cubbies. And one thing that I do want to point out about Atlanta, I already said, they've came back from last season and just been doing great. But you got Freddie Freeman and Nick Markakis and Ozzie all with plus 40 RBI. And then you have 10 players on your team that are batting over 250. That's pretty good, and that's consistent. And then from Cincinnati, and then this is kind of a mind-blowing thing. Cincinnati, I don't know if I said their record earlier, but Cincinnati is, they're currently sitting at 26-45. And I just told you some great hitters from Cincinnati. They have, not only do they have Scooter Gannett and Eugenio Suarez, but they have 5 other players that are batting over 250. And it just comes down to their pitching. Cincinnati's pitching is not doing what they should be doing. They're not keeping the runs low enough for their hitters like Scooter and Eugenio to be able to put up the numbers for them to get the wins. The Cincinnati starting lineup needs to start picking it up if they want to win some games here. So, with that being said, let's talk about some pitchers from the NL. Your ERA leaders are Jacob deGrom from the Mets. He's got a 1.55. Max Scherzer has a 2.06. Mike Foltynewicz has a 2.16. John Lester has a 2.28. And Miles McCullis from St. Louis has a 2.43. And then your strikeout leaders for the NL are Max Scherzer just blowing everyone else out of the water with a 152. The next closest person is Patrick Corbin from Arizona. He's got a 117. 117! Max Scherzer has 152. Jeez. And then DeGrom has 113. John Gray from Colorado has 100. And then Steven Strasburg has 95. So, obviously, you have two of the top 5 NL strikeout leaders from Washington. That's helping them right now. And even though they're in second place, there's still a lot of the season left for them to be able to make a splash, I guess is what I should say. And if I'm looking at it, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if 2 former Tigers get the Cy Young Awards this year, and Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer, just because, I mean, just you heard the ERAs and the strikeouts. They're both dealing this season. They're both just cool, calm, and collected under the pressure that they're under. And it seems like they don't even have pressure. They're just going out there and throwing the ball, and nobody can touch them. Whatever. I mean, it's been a great season so far, and I'm loving continuing to watch the season. Obviously, we'll watch to see what else unfolds, and around the All-Star break, I'll probably have another video talking about it. But let's switch gears for a second. I got a segment that I like to call A Couple Words. Obviously, I haven't made a video in a long time, and there have been a lot of things that have happened since my last video that I made. For example, the Pistons hired Dwayne Casey. A couple words on that. I think it's a step up. There you go. That's an example. So let's just get on with this list. I only got a couple, and I'm probably going to end up making other videos explaining more in depth about why I chose those words. All right? So, like I said, the Pistons hired Dwayne Casey. It's a step up. Post Malone's new album, Beer Bongs and Bentleys, marvelous. That's it, just marvelous. And then the Capitals winning the Stanley Cup. They're probably still partying. Alex Ovechkin is just insane. And then the Warriors winning the NBA Finals. No surprise. And then we had Drake diss Kanye West and Pusha T in his Duppy freestyle. Shots were fired. And then Pusha T had a response in a song called Story of Adidon. Drake has a kid? I mean, that's what I get from it. Drake has a kid. It's crazy. Pusha T also had an album called Daytona. Pretty good. Ye had an album titled Ye. It was okay. And then Kid See Ghost, which was Kanye West and Kid Cudi's album together. Again, just okay. Meh. And last but not least, the World Cup is underway. I don't know how to explain the excitement that I've had the past few days watching the World Cup without just yelling, and I'd rather not destroy your guys' eardrums. So I'm just going to say France is going to win. That's it. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe to be let know if I'm making more videos, when they're coming out and everything. I should have another video coming out tomorrow about the World Cup. I would love to talk a lot about that. So make sure you hit the subscribe button to get notified, and I will talk to you guys later.